What would be the key messages that you would want our audience, viewers, also the foreign policy and strategic community to take away from your speech?
Look, I mean, I think the first thing is we are living in a huge world of opportunity. So yes, we have a more volatile, uncertain, complex kind of world to navigate. But the reality is we are very blessed to be able to live in this region, the Indo-Pacific. It will be 2/3 of the middle class, 2/3 of global economic growth. And that just creates huge opportunity. And it's not just in the macroeconomic sense of what that means. It's actually when that translates to individuals' lives, that's when it gets really, really important. And the example of 250 million people lifted out of poverty in India, and what difference that makes to a family today and an individual today, and the choices that they get to have as they navigate this day is really important. The second piece is that technological revolution, particularly with AI, and just how that will transform everything. And I don't think we've fully understood just the geometric change that we're going to experience and what that means for government delivering public services, but also for economies, citizens, companies, countries to get on board and use that as a way to out-compete as a result. And so I think there's some very exciting real opportunities for us living in this region. But equally, on the other side, as I've said, we're seeing a world that's increasingly moving from rules to power. We're seeing a system moving from economics to security, and certainly from efficiency to resilience. And so, that is the trend lines that we're seeing across the Indo-Pacific region that we need to navigate and acknowledge are different. And the solution to that is that we actually need to work together and have relationships and change and evolve our institutions and actually enable people to have the freedom, countries the freedom to choose their path without interference. And so, that's...
Besides the diaspora and cricket, which are the obvious linkages, why India?
Well, I mean, India is a country that I got to know quite early in my 20s. I worked for a big global company called Unilever. We had a big business here called Hindustan Lever. So I was always turned on to the potential of India because it was so significant to the business, but also the talent that came out of India was just profound. And you would travel, and I subsequently spent a lot of time living and working overseas, and you find Indians at all strata of life across the world now and in big leadership jobs, particularly in corporate life. So it was a country I've always had huge respect, passion, admiration for. And when I became Prime Minister of New Zealand, and you looked at this was a glaring sort of obvious hole in our relationships, that these are two countries that actually should be really close friends and should be having a deeper and a broader relationship. And that's in the last 16 months has really been the focus to build that broader relationship that we want to have, because there's so much that these two countries should be doing together. And so, no, I love India. I love the dynamic nature of it. I love the high growth environment. I love the entrepreneurship of the people, the passion and the diversity that sits within this great country. So I've always said to my wife, and I've always said, like, when I retire from politics, which could be a long time away, we'll come into a 3 or 6 month tour of India ourselves, which would be great. Just exploring it would be great. So no, I love it. It's really good.
India is a big consuming country, producing country of agri-products. New Zealand is a very nifty, smart, advanced agri-based economy as well. India, yesterday you mentioned in your speech, landed its probe in the dark side of the moon. New Zealand has ambitions on building a sustainable space industry. Right, advanced manufacturing, and India wants to become a manufacturing hub. How are we going to partner? What should be the formats of partnership?
So I think that's what we started yesterday. We had a series of MOUs and agreements that we had between the two governments, focusing on the areas of opportunity. But if you take, defence, security, if you even take space, New Zealand is now the 4th largest launcher of rockets in the world after the US, China and Russia. And so, and of course, India was fantastic for landing on the South Pole and of the moon. And so there's real opportunities for us to collaborate in research development in areas like space. And predominantly people would look at New Zealand and go, oh, you've got a lot of cows, you've got a lot of sheep, you've got a lot of great seafood, you've got a wonderful tourism proposition, all of that good stuff. But we also have a really fantastic and burgeoning AI environment and tech world. We have obviously a space sector. We are 88% of our electricity is renewable, so we have huge expertise in geothermal and hydro and wind and solar, and those are things that we can offer countries that are making that transition from low to middle to high incomes across the region. So what Prime Minister Modi and I talked about was, it doesn't matter whether it's in the defence and security spaces, or whether it's in the trade and economic spaces, and frankly the people-to-people spaces. You know, we spend a lot of time talking about sport, because sport has a huge benefit for social cohesion. It has a huge benefit for young people and mental health, but also in the high performance sense in terms of how you get good performances out of your sports people. He was very interested in those conversations of how we could facilitate and work together in those areas, as India thinks about hosting an Olympics, say, in 2036. Yeah, so there was a range of areas where we previously we haven't had that connectivity, and as I said, these two countries should be are friends and should be much deeper friends than they are, and that's now putting that together with our minister-to-minister engagements and making sure we have actions to get that done.
You know,